his family. I'll try to stay macro, Secretary, Mr. Chairman. With regard to some base points for the DOTC, infrastructure, railroad, port, and air transport. I have here, Mr. Secretary, I'm sure you have a copy of this, the Global Competitiveness Report Infrastructure Competitiveness Ranking for 2010 to 2011 out of 139 ranked countries. And this is clustered into the ASEAN countries. For infrastructure, general infrastructure, the Philippines, out of 139, is ranked 104, covering railroad, port, and air transport. And that's for the entire world of 139 countries. And for the ASEAN group, Mr. Secretary, and I'm sure you'll be very interested in these base points because this is where you will be taking off from. Out of 8 ASEAN countries, number 1 is Singapore, which is number 5 all over the world. Number 2 is Thailand, which is 35th in the world. Number 3 is, Malaysia is number 2, with 30th. Thailand is number 3, which is number 35 in the world. Number 5 is Indonesia, 82nd in the world. And number 6 is Vietnam, 83rd in the world. And the Philippines is number 7, 104th in the world. Which is quite shocking. I didn't realize that we are that bad worldwide and ASEAN-wide, Mr. Secretary. May we have your comments on this?
Well, that is what it is. It's unfortunate that we have slipped that far down in the rankings. I think what's important, Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleague from Parañaque, is what do we do about it? With the DOTC, to the extent that given the scope of our work, we will undertake an airport, for example, with respect to airports, a multi-year airport development program, so that the so-called community airports can be upgraded into what's next to community? Class 1? From principal to principal and class 1, and then so on to international standard. I think what's important, particularly for the representatives of the people, is that you know over a multi-year period what the program is of the department through the CAAP relative to the improvements in your airport facilities. So that would be one of them. With respect to the seaports, likewise, we will be undertaking matters in a programmatic, multi-year fashion, rather than just pursuant to the political winds or pursuant to case by case or ad hoc basis. I think this will mean that the department's resources can be better rationalized, better programmed. Everybody will know what's coming in any given year, and in that respect, better planning, particularly by the business community, can be undertaken. What's important, we are where we are. Whatever the ranking is. It's not where we want to be, and I think what's important is the steps that we undertake so that we can improve our rankings.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, may I go mode by mode? Railroad. With respect to the railroad, out of 139 countries, we are number 97, and among the ASEAN countries, out of 7, Brunei is at rank. Obviously, we have no railroad system in Brunei. We are number 6 out of 7 countries, ahead only of Cambodia. In fact, in ranking worldwide, number 1 is Singapore, which is number 6 worldwide. Second is Malaysia, 20th worldwide. Third is Indonesia, 56th worldwide. Fourth is Thailand, very close, 57. Vietnam is number 59, fifth in ASEAN. And a far sixth is the Philippines, number 97 worldwide. Mr. Secretary, would you venture to make a fearless forecast or a target on how much we can improve over a one-year period, or is that too much to ask from you, Mr. Secretary?
Not only would that be fearless, that would be suicidal. But
for example, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, we are number 97 worldwide in the railroad system, out of 139. If you can scan, for example, maybe about 10 countries ahead of us, would you think we can improve from 97 to maybe a little better?
Mr. Chairman, that is a dynamic process. It is not solely conditioned on what we do, because other countries can likewise spend and improve accordingly. I'm not familiar with what their situations are. If the point is we are in bad shape, yes, I totally, fully agree we are in bad shape. If the point is, are we happy? If the question is, are we happy? No, we are not. What can we do? Well, we can do specific things. First, to stabilize the situation, improve current services, and then begin the process of expanding and lengthening, for example, in railroads, what the existing systems can deliver to the people. For example, let me be the one to say, this is not a secret. Every person, all 500,000 a day that ride the MRT, know about this, that MRT has had intermittent delays and service interruptions nearly 2-3 times a week. In some instances, for periods of a few days, nearly daily. This is not something that we are hiding from. You cannot change anything if you don't face facts, and that's a fact. Now, a review of the reasons for why there are service interruptions include the age of the units themselves. It's been 11 years. There have been no substantial upgrades or improvements in the system. While the whole world has already moved on past DOS, onto Windows and to what's the latest of Apple? Lion. The system still is operating on the DOS basis, and so therefore it takes it longer to reboot whenever there is an interruption. The service and maintenance agreement itself with Sumitomo is no longer applicable to the times. It may have been appropriate 11 years ago when it first was entered into, but no longer given the present age and load of the system. As an example, I interrupt myself to greet the distinguished speaker.
I would like to recognize our good speaker, Speaker Sandy Belmonte.
Thank you.
And our Majority Floor Leader, is he here? Boyet Gonzalez. Go ahead, Secretary.
Just for the historical record, many years ago, when I was the Majority Leader, I was very happy to have worked with the then Minority Leader, now Speaker Sonny Belmonte. So I appreciate his coming here. I know how busy he is, and he's spending some time here with us. It's indeed an honor for myself personally and institutionally for the department. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Likewise for the distinguished Majority Leader. Thursdays, I know he's very busy, engaged in surveying the environment. But for him to be indoors on a day such as today is also an honor for me and the department. Going back, Mr. Chairman, to the inquiry of Congressman Golez. So this is a situation, for example, where for example, the trigger of penalties for MRT only occurs when there are only 18 trains running at any given time during peak hours. Although the standard is 20, the penalties only kick in at 18. Now, 10 years ago, this may have been appropriate because 18 cars or 18 vehicles was more than enough to service the need, but no longer today. And these are the many small reasons why our service is being interrupted and why the service itself needs improvement. Positively, the service contract expires early next year, in January. The MRT management is now working on an appropriate process so that better standards, better penalties, better trigger points, better parameters can be incorporated into whatever new agreement is undertaken so that there can be better service. The situation, Mr. Chairman, is that presently we are in curative. We are simply in the ICU. We are exercising triage, trying to just solve whatever problems. We're in effect firefighting. We have not been able to stabilize and move on to preventive, where given a certain number of hours of use, parts are already changed as they ought to be, in anticipation of service breakdown a little bit later on. So those are the reasons why we are very low in those rankings. Without going through every single item, the point is we're not happy. Yes, we acknowledge we are low. We're not happy where we are, and we will be presenting a comprehensive program in every mode of transport so that we can move forward and deliver better service. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned the railway. Well, I'm sure you're very familiar with a trivia of history. Not really trivia, but very important. Before, the Italian railways were in terrible shape. And then a guy named Mussolini came into the picture and made the trains run on time. And the people of Italy rewarded him by making him the Il Duce of Italy. So I guess, Mr. Secretary, you have a very challenging proposition.
Especially since Il Duce was subsequently hanged by his people. So I also take note of the historical fact.
The railway was very, it was always cited. It's always cited as a very good example of someone rewarded. But of course, he detracted from a little from the basic challenges of his time. In regard to air transport, port infrastructure, this is again very shocking. Number 131 out of 139. I don't know why. I don't know the basis for this evaluation, why we are ranked, especially considering that in addition to Indonesia, we are one of the two archipelagic countries in ASEAN, but number 131. So this is a very ideal situation for the good secretary, because the only way to go is up, Mr. Secretary. I don't think you'd want to be in Singapore, which is ranked number 1, because the only way to go is down in Singapore. And finally, Mr. Secretary, just a parochial issue. May I ask, Mr. Secretary, especially from your airport, from your air sector people, if there's any noise moderation program for the airport, because Parañaque is the absorber of a lot of noise pollution from the airport. We know that that's unavoidable, that is a geographical reality, but may we know whether there's any effort to moderate the noise?
Mr. Chairman, that's a technical matter. Let me refer you to Administrator Podet Honrado of the MIA, who might know what the noise abatement measures may be. Let me just say, Mr. Chairman, that the runways of NAIA are now at capacity. So there is no more slow or slack period at NAIA, and there are flights taking off until about 1 in the morning, and flights taking off as early as 4 in the morning. So there's really just, for the poor residents along the flight paths, there's really just 2 or 3 hours in the day, in the early morning, where there are no such flights. The airlines themselves have moved on to newer aircraft, newer engines, from the Block 111s, DC-9s, 737s, which use the old GE engines. They're now using the French A319, A320 aircraft with appropriate new engines, technically or theoretically with lesser noise load. But from a regulation point of view, I don't know what much more we can do, but let me turn it over to the General Manager or
Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Golez from Paranaque, sir. As far as NIA is concerned, there is no physical infrastructure that will minimize the noise reduction. Most of the effort on noise reduction is being done by the major airline companies and the major makers of engines and airframes. However, ICAO, the International Aviation Organization, is very strong on this as far as noise abatement is concerned. And there's a very serious effort as far as the major companies are concerned with the Airbus and National Sir. So they're coming up with newer engines and newer techniques on how to reduce the noise of this aircraft. And as what the Secretary have said, sir, those aircraft have been very notorious as far as noise is concerned, because we placed out already notably the Block 111 and DC-9. And as far as the present fleet operating with the Marine is concerned, the Airbus and the B747, they are already far ahead as far as noise abatement is concerned. But in the latest seminar on APEC, and this was dealing mostly on safety and noise abatement and other concern, there's a serious effort to do just like this, as far and also on the pollution control.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I tell those who constantly complain about this. There's one retired Supreme Court Justice who keeps on reminding me about the noise. He lives in the Merville area. I keep on telling them that more takeoffs, more noise is good news as far as the economy is concerned. We should be more worried when there's no airplane taking off. That's going to be bad for the economy. We're willing to absorb a lot of this noise, but we would welcome any effort to moderate. I did not use the word abatement because I know it is technically very challenging to abate, but probably more technically feasible to moderate the noise. Thank you, General Honrado, who's a kababayan of mine from PF Homes, Paranaque. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman. So, Chairman, with your permission, let me just, I saw some faces